Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, chapter number 19, the appearance of Shukadeva Goswami, text number 21. Sarve vayam tavadihasmahetha kalevaram yavadasau vihaya lokam param virajaskam vishokam Yasyatyayam Bhagavata Pradhana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhicharan Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. We shall all wait here until the foremost devotee of the Lord, Maharaj Parikshit, returns to the supreme planet, which is completely free from all mundane contamination and all kinds of lamentation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Purport. Beyond the limitation of the material creation, which is compared to the cloud in the sky, there is the Paravyoma, or the spiritual sky, full of planets called Vaikunthas. Such Vaikuntha planets are also differently known as the Purushottama Loka, Achyuta Loka, Trivikrama Loka, Rishikesha Loka, Keshava Loka, Aniruddha Loka, Madhava Loka, Pradyumna Loka, Sankarshana Loka, Sridhara Loka, Vasudeva Loka, Ayodhya Loka, Dwarka Loka, and many other millions of spiritual lokas wherein the personality of Godhead predominates. All the living entities there are liberated souls with spiritual bodies as good as that of the Lord. There is no material contamination. Everything there is spiritual, and therefore there is nothing objectively lamentable. They are full of transcendental bliss and are without birth, death, old age and disease. And amongst all the above mentioned Vaikuntha Lokas, there is one supreme Loka called Goloka Vrindavana, which is the abode of the Lord Sri Krishna and his specific associates. Maharaj Parikshit was destined to achieve this particular Loka, and the great rishis assembled there could foresee this. All of them consulted among themselves about the great departure of the great king, and they wanted to see him up to the last moment because they would no more be able to see such a great devotee of the Lord. When a great devotee of the Lord passes away, there is nothing to be lamented because the devotee is destined to enter into the kingdom of God. But the sorry plight is that such great devotees leave our sight, and therefore there is every reason to be sorry. As the Lord is rarely to be seen by our present eyes, so also are the great devotees. The great rishis therefore correctly decided to remain on the spot till the last moment. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we are almost towards the conclusion of the canto number 1. This is the last chapter, which is titled as the appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. So we see in the beginning of this chapter that how Parikshit Maharaj, after his interaction with the Shamika Rishi, where by the will of the providence he became angry and he garlanded Shamika Rishi with a dead snake. So this chapter begins while he is returning back to his palace. He is thinking that what he has done is not appropriate. And he concludes that this is not a civilized behavior to insult a sage. So while he is thinking like that, he is also thinking of repentance. He is saying that I should quickly do something to repent for this sin. This is a very grievous sin. So I should do something. And he was praying to the Supreme Lord that, my dear Lord, this is so offensive that probably the rectification for this, if it is even balanced with burning of all his kingdom, riches and all the strength he possesses, he will be happy with it. So he was strongly feeling that he should rectify his mistake. While he is thinking so, he gets the news of the curse given by Shamika Rishi's son Shringi. So when he hears that Shringi has cursed him to die within 7 days due to the snake bite, so what is the immediate response of Parikshit Maharaj? That's also very nicely documented in the Srimad Bhagavatam. it says, Parikshit Maharaj became very jubilant upon hearing the curse. He became jubilant because it was the ultimate solution to the offense what he has done. He was feeling like that. Of course, we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam that Parikshit Maharaj was unfairly cursed. So it was not like he has done really a grievous sin, but his character is so great, his attitude, spiritual attitude is so great that he immediately accepted the curse to renounce the kingdom and take up full surrender to the Supreme Lord. And we all see that how Parikshit Maharaj immediately renounces the kingdom. We don't see any description in the Bhagavatam where Parikshit Maharaj is calling all his supporters, oh, please come here. You know, I got cursed to die within 7 days. What kind of defense we can use? What kind of process we can follow by which we can overturn this curse? No. He immediately accepts the curse, hands over the kingdom to his son, and then goes to the bank of Ganges river. And why he goes to the bank of Ganges river? To associate with the pure devotees of the Lord and give up his body in full Krishna consciousness so that he can go back to Godhead, back to Krishna. And we all see that how when this news of Parikshit Maharaj's departure is heard, especially by the great sages. So what is the immediate response of the great sages? They all decide to assemble and witness the passing away of the great Rajarishi Parikshit Maharaj. And who are these great sages who have assembled here? That is also mentioned. That great sages like Parashara Muni, Vasishtha, Gautama, Devala, and Vyasadeva himself, and Narad Muni himself. So these great sages have assembled at the place where Parikshit Maharaj has decided to fast until death, to give up his body in remembrance of Krishna. And we see from in this last 2 verses, what we have spoken today, and the last verse, the great sages are describing that this is befitting a person who is born in a dynasty of great devotees like Pandavas. It is nothing astonishing that how Parikshit Maharaj has immediately decided to give up his kingdom, because the great Pandavas also, when they heard the news of Krishna's departure from this material world, what was the immediate response? Generally, in the material world, when we see that someone has departed, so the response would be, we'll feel sorry about it. We'll feel that, okay, life has to move on, so what is a big deal about it? But we see the response of great devotees like Pandavas. What did they do? They decided, now it is a time for us also to leave this material world. If Krishna is not present in this material world, we don't wish to continue our existence in the material world, and they immediately renounced, all the 5 brothers along with Draupadi. And we see here in the case of Parikshit Maharaj as well, that the moment he got to know that he is going to die in 7 days, he is not running around saying that, what are the wishes which is unfulfilled for me? There are so many things which I am yet to do, or I have a flourishing kingdom, or I have to give up this. Let me find out, oh, here are some great sages like Narad Muni, Vasishtha, or Parashara Muni, or Vyasadeva has come. So let me approach them and find out with them if there is any cure for this curse. In fact, Parikshit Maharaj was so powerful that he himself could have overturned the curse, but he didn't do. And in today's verse, we see here that all the great sages validated this particular response of Parikshit Maharaj. And they said that, let us all assemble and let us all wait here till the great devotee Parikshit Maharaj departs from this world. And a very nice, interesting points are mentioned here, that as Parikshit Maharaj returns to the supreme planet, which is completely free from all mundane contamination and all kinds of lamentation. So now we may see here, like we all know that Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam was originally spoken by Narad Muni to Vyasadeva, So why did Narad Muni and Vyasadeva appear? And why did they assemble there and continue to be there? Like here we see in the photo, like Parikshit Maharaj is there, Shukadeva Goswami is there, and all the great sages like Narad Muni and Vyasadeva is there. So what was the reason for this? So that is also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said that in the association of pure devotees, one should be hearing the activities and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And when you do so, when in the association of pure devotees, you hear the activities and pastimes, what happens? It gives pleasure to the ear. Hritkalna rasayana kathaya. So it is said, Satam prasango mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkalna rasayana katha. It says that it gives pleasure to the ears and the heart. And what happens because of this? Because of hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the association of pure devotees, apart from giving pleasure to the heart and the ears, it opens the gateway to liberation, which is the ultimate goal of human form of life. The human form of life is not supposed to be wasted in eating, sleeping, mating and defending. No, this is not the purpose of human form of life. The human form of life is meant for aspiring to go back to Godhead, our original home, from where we all have come here and we are suffering here. Like here the sages are mentioning that all kinds of lamentation is existing in this material world. So in the association of pure devotees, one is supposed to practice Krishna consciousness and awaken his Krishna consciousness and become a pure devotee and go back to Krishna, back to Godhead. So that is the purpose of the great sages. They wanted to hear the conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami and relish the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone present there knew that Parikshit Maharaj is such a great devotee that he is going to go back to Godhead. There was no doubt on anyone's mind. The primary reason why they wanted to assemble and be there till the end is they wanted to see how a great devotee departs, and also they wanted to take pleasure out of hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the mouth of pure devotees like Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So we see here that in the verse, a very nice point is mentioned that supreme planet which is completely free from all mundane contamination. So we see here that this material world is full of mundane contamination. And the biggest and the greatest contamination of this material world is that it makes us forgetful of Krishna. And because of which we continue to suffer in this material world. So we see in Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita also says this, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. So Krishna says, Krishna gives a description of this material world. Krishna, who is the creator of the spiritual world and the material world, he is describing the material world as Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. And how do you get the darshana of this dukkha? How do you get this experience of dukkha? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age and disease. How many of us want to have all these four things? None of us. How many of us wish to avoid this? All of us wish to avoid this. Is there any option to avoid this? No. Until and unless we surrender to the Supreme Lord, it is not possible to avoid this Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. And then Krishna further describes this material world as Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. He says that this world is Dukkhalaya. This world is full of miseries. And Ashashvatam, temporary. We all don't like temporary things. If we get how we want house, we want permanent house. We want to have mobile, permanent mobile. We don't want to take anything on lease. We want everything permanent. Because that is the nature of the soul, to look for permanency. But in this material world, we get exactly opposite of that. And lot of miseries. Primarily, there are three types of miseries. Adibhautik klesha, Adhyatmik klesha and Adidaivik klesha. What is Adibhautik klesha? Miseries due to other living entities. So we see classical example for this is night when we are supposed to take rest. Suddenly some small living entities will come, mosquitoes, and will try to disturb us. So even a tiny living entity like mosquitoes can cause misery. Then Adhyatmik klesha. Okay, no external disturbance is there. The biggest disturbance can be created by our own mind itself. How can this happen to me today? Or that happened to me today? I am disturbed because of it. So our own mind can give misery. And Adidaivik klesha. Misery is due to the nature. Like we don't have control over disasters such as earthquake, landslides, or any kind of natural disasters which also cause miseries. So in this material world, every now and then we keep on experiencing these three miseries. But majority of the people, they think that this is the part of life. Only self-realized souls, or only one who has come in touch with a bona fide spiritual master, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, when he transmits the spiritual knowledge, we at least get to discover that this is not the right thing. We should not think that this is part of life. We should think that we should get over it. We should find a process by which we can transcend this and go back to a place where all these miseries don't exist. And that description, as we see in today's purport, is described as the planet called as Vaikuntha Loka. Vaikuntha. Kuntha means anxiety. And this material world, there are varieties of anxieties. And what is Vaikuntha? Where there is no anxiety. Where is no birth, death, old age and disease. And where there is abundance of happiness. Imagine someone saying that I will take you to a place where there is only happiness and there is no misery. How many of us would like to go to such place? In fact, everyone. In fact, today being Sunday, we see that thousands of people who will come to temple and have darshan of Radha Krishna Chandra. If we do an analysis, a small survey, ask that, let's take 100 people and ask them, did you pray to be unhappy? Out of 100, at least 99 people will say that, no, I have come here to this temple to pray to Krishna that I want to be happy and this is the process by which I can be happy. So kindly approve this process or kindly bless me with this particular boon so that I can be happy. One person may be there who will say that, oh, Krishna, I am already happy, I am satisfied. Ensure that this status quo is maintained. So that is a mood of the people. Everyone is looking for happiness because that is the intrinsic nature of the spirit soul, to look for happiness. The spirit soul, the characteristic of spirit soul is Sat, Chit and Ananda. It's always looking for happiness. But what do we get in this material world? Asat, Achit and Nirananda. In fact, the cause of what we think that will give me happiness becomes the greatest cause of our lamentation. Something we think that if I get this, I'll be the most happiest person. So that is a thinking of the people who don't have spiritual knowledge. Just to help you understand this particular point of what I'm trying to convey about that, what appears to be the great source of happiness ends up in lamentation. Some of us would have heard about this term called as Midas touch. How many of you have heard Midas touch? It's a phenomena, or it is attributed to a person who, like any kind of engagement he gets into, he brings a lot of prosperity. Like anything he touches, it turns into gold. So actually there is a background for why this particular terminology is named after this particular person, Midas. So there was a king by name Midas who was ruling over the one particular kingdom. So it so happened, this king was very fond of acquiring gold. Anywhere he would find gold, or anyone who gives him gold, he will be very happy. And naturally, being a king, he would look for places where he can go and plunder some kingdom or defeat some kings and acquire the gold from that kingdom also. So he was always in the mood of how to get gold, how to get gold. Because his goal of life was to get gold. And he thought that if I possess all the gold in this world, I'll be the most happiest person. So in this process, he was always looking for, where do I get gold? Where do I get gold? In fact, he was so infatuated with gold that he named his daughter as Marigold. Because he wanted to remember, like how we, in our, Vaishnava tradition, we name the children as something as Ram Das, Krishna Das, like that. So he named his daughter as Marigold, so that he can remember gold very often. And what happened? One day, it so happened, a saintly person came to his kingdom. And at least at that time, the tradition was good, even in other countries, that this person took very nice care of the saintly person. And then saintly person was very pleased with the, reception offered by the king. So the saintly person offered to give him some boon. And what did our king do? The king asked, my dear saintly person, if you want to give me some boon, then I wish that you bless me that anything I touch, that becomes gold. So this was the boon which he sought from the saintly person. The saintly person tried to explain to him, no, you think that you will become happy by getting gold, but this boon is going to become a curse for you. But this king was so engrossed in getting the gold that he said that, no, if you at all want to give me some boon, you please give me this boon. And what is that boon? That anything I touch, it should immediately become gold. So then saintly person said that, okay, tathastu, this is what if you desire, then please, I would not object to this. So he blessed the king with that boon, and the king, after getting the blessings, he is on cloud 9. And he's thinking that now I have got this power. Now I should see whether this works or not. So what did he immediately do? He first entered into his, assembly, where he is administrating the kingdom. And he goes around the pillar and touches the pillar. And what happens to the pillar? The pillar turns into gold. And the king is so happy that, oh, see, in my kingdom, my, assembly, the pillars are made of gold. And he touches all the pillars and makes it gold. And he's so happy. Then he goes to his simhasana. He touches the simhasana. That also becomes gold. Then he goes around identifying various objects and touching them. It becomes gold. So he's very excited, very happy. He's like top of the world. Like whatever he wanted to get, he got. And then he had maintained a very nice garden of rose. He goes to the garden and says that, what is this rose? I'll make golden rose, which no one has heard of. So he goes and touches all the rose plants, which his daughter had planted. And he touches them, and all the plants become gold. Rose becomes rose gold. So like this, he is like little tired after this adventure of turning things into gold. Now he decides that, okay, for today it's enough. Whatever items I have made into gold, it's sufficient. So let me go. Now I become tired. And when we become tired, what we do? We try to consume something, right? So he wanted to have food. So then he goes and sits on his dining table. The moment he sits on the chair and touches the chair becomes gold. Then he puts his hand on the dining table. The table becomes gold. He is like, okay, never mind. It is good only. That chair and table has also become gold. So I am so rich, I am so opulent that I am dining on a golden dining table. So now the servers bring all varieties of food stuff. So king, after seeing that, he's like, his hunger has increased even more. So he's like excited. Now I'm going to enjoy this. And the moment he touches one food item, that becomes gold. Then he touches another item, that also turns into gold. He touches the water glass, that also turns into gold. Now the king is like, anything I'm touching, it's becoming gold. Now I cannot eat gold. Now what to do? So he's like, again he tries that, okay, let me try this item. He turns into gold. So the king is like, now I'm hungry. Is one of the miseries, hunger and thirst. So he's hungry. Now what to do? Anything he's touching is becoming gold. Now what to do? So he's thinking that actually the sage was right, that this is going to create problem for me. So in this process, he goes to one place and sits on a bench just to relax. Okay, I'm not able to eat anything, at least let me sit and relax. He sits on the bench becomes gold. So now he is like fully frustrated that wherever I am seeing, whatever I am touching, it's becoming gold. So I don't want to see gold at all. And the meantime, it so happens that king's daughter Marigold, when she sees that her beautiful garden has become a gold, who likes artificial flower which doesn't give any fragrance? We don't see gold giving any fragrance, right? So when the king's daughter discovers that her garden is destroyed like this by her father, she wants to go and request to do something about it. And when the king sees his daughter coming towards him, so he understands that my daughter is upset. And the moment the daughter approaches him, he tries to pacify her by patting on her back. And what happens? The daughter turns into gold. And the king exclaims, what a curse I have got, that my daughter, my beloved daughter, now I cannot have any relationship with. Because of my greediness for acquiring gold, I have lost my daughter. And eventually, the king dies of starvation. Because he is not able to eat anything, he is not able to drink anything, naturally he will die. So what he perceived to be the greatest source of his enjoyment became the greatest source of his lamentation, and it led to his ultimate downfall. So that is the thing which is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj says, the remedies to the material problems sometimes becomes the greatest problems itself. So that is the nature of this material world. And we see there is a description in the Shastras about different types of suffering which a living entity undergoes. And it's very nicely compared to Sanskrit grammar. Like all of us must be aware about in the English language, there are vowels, right? Vowels means without these letters, you cannot form any word. Majority of the words are made from these vowels. Like A, I, O, E, U. These are considered to be the vowels. You take any word, most of the words will have this. Like you take want, it has A in it. So like that, English language, the basis of English language is vowels. So same way, in Sanskrit also, there is something called as vargas. There are 5 types of vargas. And in that, Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharya takes one particular varga called as Pa Varga. In which Pa Varga, which has got 5 letters, which describes this material world. The suffering in this material world. So what are these 5 letters? Or the 5 words? Pa, Pha, Ba, Bha and Ma. So the letters are Pa, Pha, Ba, Bha and Ma. What is Pa? Pa refers to Parabhavam, defeat. So in this material world, we see that all the conditioned souls are in a competition. But they forget the actual competition, which is to overcome Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Because they don't know what is the real competition, they are engaging in false competition. And every now and then, they are getting defeated. So this defeat is one type of suffering. Then comes Pha. What is Pha? Phena. Phena means foam coming out of the mouth. Like you would have seen, at least in videos, that how after the horse is employed in some kind of activity, the foam starts coming out of the mouth. Or even human beings also. When we speak for a long time, after some time you will see that some kind of foam is coming out. So a lot of exhaustion happens. That is another type of suffering. Then we hear Ba. Ba refers to Bandhanam. Whatever activity we do, if it is not connected to Krishna, it binds us to this material world. Even though it may be pious activities. And the classical example of this we see in the Krishna book, in the pastime of King Nriga. That King Nriga, with all good intention, donated cow. But that cow went to another Brahmana's house. And for that particular action of King Nriga, even unknowingly, he wanted to do good, but it became bad. He had to suffer. So, whether we do pious activity or impious activities, papa or punya, it binds us to this material world. Then what is bha? Bha refers to bhayam. Always we are fearful. In fact, even though we are sitting under the lotus feet of Krishna here, still some bhaya will be there. Suddenly if we hear some sound and this room shaking, immediately bhaya will come and we will all run out of this room, saying that, oh, I have to protect myself. So that is another type of suffering. And everything culminates in the greatest weapon of Maya Devi in this material world. That is Ma. What is Ma? Mrityu, Marana. Where it defeats all the plans of all the people. Like we hear of these days so many new things which people come up with. There is some person who's trying to inject himself with blood transfused from his son, and he's trying to become young. He's trying to overcome old age and death by infusing this. But how long he'll remain young? One fine day he has to die. So there is no solution for death in this material world. And we also hear of some of the people trying to preserve the dead body with the hope that in future a technology may be developed by which we can revive the person back. So let us keep the dead body in a cryogenic state so that we can revive the dead person and bring him back to life. So because people are not satisfied with sense gratification, they say that the moment they hear about death, that means everything is going to finish. That's why in many of the culture, they may talk about all the subject matter, but they will not talk about death. The moment they speak about death, the person will be told, why are you talking about something which is negative in nature? Everyone knows it's unavoidable. But the pain of hearing about death itself is so painful that they don't want to talk about it. Because it brings ultimate end to all the plans, all the desires, what you can achieve in your life. And this process of trying to overcome death is not something new in this Kali Yuga. This is going on from Satya Yuga. We hear that how Hiranyakashipu, after his brother Hiranyaksha was defeated, then he goes to the forest and does tapasya. And because of his intense tapasya, when Lord Brahma appears before him, what is the first thing he asks to Lord Brahma? Please make me immortal, that I don't die. And what was the reply of Lord Brahma? Brahma said that I myself am not immortal. How do I make you immortal? You should ask something which I can give to you. You are asking something which is beyond my capacity. So then what did Hiranyakashipu do? He was very strong in that. I will stay true to my boon. So he asked for various, he had some calculations in mind. I should not die during the day, during the night, inside house, outside house, not by human, not by animal. So like this, some 7-8 calculations. He asked Brahma that, can you give me this? And Brahma said, Tathastu for everything. And what did Hiranyakashipu think? That he has become immortal. Because it's not heard of. What is not day, what is not night, what is not human, what is not animal. So that means I have become immortal. And the moment he got this boon and other boons which made him powerful, what is the first activity which he did? Demonic people, what do they do when they get power? Go and trouble the saintly people and declare themselves as God. So he started doing this. And we all know that how Lord Narasimha appeared. Honoring all the boons given by Lord Brahma, he killed Hiranyakashipu. So, death cannot be avoided by anyone. And that's why death is so much feared by the non-devotees, because it brings an ultimate end to all their plans. But for devotees, death is like opening door to Vaikuntha. For them, it's like, if they get to know that I'm going to die, the pure devotees take, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity for me to fix my attention, my consciousness on Krishna's lotus feet and go back to home, back to Godhead. And the whole life a devotee practices so that he can be prepared for that final competition, final exam to face death. A devotee, because death is very unpredictable. We don't know. Anytime we can die. None of us know where are we for our lifespan. If we draw point A and point B here, can any of us go and stand there and say that in between this A to B, I am standing towards the fag end of B, or I am towards the fag end of A? No. We may be towards the extreme end of B, or we may be towards the extreme end of A. So devotee doesn't take any chance. A devotee practices Krishna consciousness to full capacity to ensure that at the time of death, it becomes easy for him to remember Krishna. And which Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that is the perfection of life. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. That if at the time of death one remembers me, then he will certainly come back to me. And in this verse, we see the description of the spiritual world. And it said that everything there is spiritual and there is nothing to be lamentable. One fine glimpse of that spiritual world we get to see in the spiritual world's embassy, that is the ISKCON temples, which is established by Srila Prabhupada. We see here, like before we all assembled here, what did we all do? We had nice darshan of all the deities, and while having nice darshan, nice bhajans were going on. And while nice bhajans were going on, what we were doing in that? We were dancing. And after the dancing and hearing the bhajans and participating in the kirtans, what did we do? We have come here to hear about the Supreme Lord and His pure devotees. And after this, what we are going to do? We are going to honor Krishna Prasadam. So, and after that, some of us will be continuing to do devotional service in the temple. So it gives pleasure to all the senses. We are actually getting a glimpse of what is going to happen in the spiritual world, where unlimited happiness is there in the association of Krishna and his devotees. And we, under the shelter of bona fide spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, are getting trained here on how to conduct ourselves and participate in Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. So that's what we see, that how the spiritual world, which is a 3/4 of the creation of the Supreme Lord. This material world is just 1/4 creation. And it has got all kind of lamentation. But Krishna, he periodically appears in this material world and canvasses that, why are you here suffering in this material world? Come back to my home. Come back to our home, which is Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavana, and come and associate and participate in my Leelas and become eternally happy. So that is the canvassing which Krishna does. And then Krishna also sends his representatives, pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, to keep on educating, to keep on transmitting the spiritual knowledge to the conditioned souls, that how you are suffering in this material world, and I have a provision to take all of you back to Godhead. Just follow the simple process. And what is that simple process? Just chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Says that over a period of time, we should all start chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and follow the 4 regulative principles. If you do this much, engage in Krishna consciousness, render devotional service, Prabhupada assures that he will take us back to Godhead. Like here we see in this verse that how all the sages were very confident that Maharaj Parikshit is going back to Godhead, and specifically to Krishna Loka, the topmost of all Vaikuntha planets. the same assurance is given by Srila Prabhupada. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada is showing by his personal example, like towards the end of Prabhupada's earthly pastimes, we see that how Prabhupada, even though physically he was not well, body was not supporting, but still he was fully focused on translating the Srimad Bhagavatam. His full attention was on Krishna. And then we also hear interactions of Prabhupada with individuals, where the individual is asking, like today morning in the Mangalalti court, one reporter is asking Srila Prabhupada, so what will happen to this movement after you die? And what was Prabhupada's reply? Prabhupada replies that I will never die. I will continue to live through my books, and all of us will take benefit of that. So Prabhupada, even though from our vision he has disappeared in 1977, but still he continues to inspire, guide, and in us, in our spiritual life. Like most of us, we are born after 1977. Have we seen Prabhupada? But still we are getting benefited and blessed by Prabhupada even after Prabhupada's physical departure. So that is the power of a pure devotee. Even though he may not be physically present in our vision, but still he can continue to bless. In another interaction, Prabhupada, when he was speaking to one renowned poet by name Allen Ginsberg, so Prabhupada was describing about Kali Yuga, that how Kali Yuga is going to be so fierce and so violent and so horrible that towards the end of Kali Yuga, all kind of nonsense is going to happen. So then immediately the poet replies, so at that time your disciples will be living in caves? And Prabhupada's reply was, by that time, before that only all my disciples would have gone back to Godhead. So that is a confidence which Prabhupada had. So we have a Bhagavata Pradhana, Prabhupada, a foremost pure devotee of Lord Krishna, who has made a promise that until all his followers and all his disciples get liberated and go back to Godhead, he will continue to remain in this material world. So that is a promise which Srila Prabhupada has made. So we as sincere followers of Srila Prabhupada and disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we should ensure that we don't make Prabhupada wait for us. Sometimes it so happens that you say that, okay, this golden period of Kali Yuga is going to go for 10,000 years. So let me practice in installments. I'll finish 10% in this life, next life 10%. Like this, I'll take some 10, 20 lives and go back to Godhead. No, sometimes this is very risky. Because you're practicing Krishna consciousness to the extent of 10%, and if you desire that to come back again to this material world, then Krishna has to give you a suitable facility. Because you are done devotional service, at least comfortable experience has to be given. So you go into the heavenly planets, and you are so busy in the heavenly planets that after your visa term is over of enjoying in the heavenly planets, you come back to this world, you discover that already 10,000 years of golden period is over. Now no more Sankirtan or Prasadam is predominantly available. So what do I do? So it's very, very risky. So hence it is said that we should consider this life as the last life. And to that extent we should practice spiritual life, that we attain perfection at the end of this life itself. That we remember Krishna at the time of death. And if our practice is so strong and sincere, and if you are not able to remember Krishna at the time of death, Krishna also gives an exemption saying that whole life you have practiced. So I will consider that particular aspect and will give you, even if you are not able to remember me, I will still give you the same benefit as you remember me at the time of death. There is a nice pastime of a devotee who was a sincere follower of Srila Prabhupada. He came in touch with ISKCON movement when he was 19-year-old. And at that time he was like a hippie, not keeping himself proper. And then he was living in some garden, some kind of a park, like we see here in the modern day park. There will be some people who will be keeping some newspaper and lying on that. It's like no work to do and this thing. So this particular devotee was also like this. So one fine day he just knocked on the temple door. And some devotee came and he saw that, okay, he looks like some kind of a poor person has come. So let me give some prasadam. Because devotees always feel that when we give prasadam to the person, he makes some spiritual advancement. So they gave some prasadam. And the person was very happy and he took the prasadam and went back. It so happened during that time, Prabhupada came to that particular temple, and as always Prabhupada does, he went for a morning walk. So he went to this particular park where this boy, hippie, was there, and he was there around some bushes and all that. But when he saw Prabhupada, he just jumped out of the bush and tried to grab Prabhupada's lotus feet. And when devotees of Prabhupada, disciples of Prabhupada saw this, that someone is trying to grab Prabhupada's feet, so they were like little alarmed. What if he is trying to harm Prabhupada? So they all shooed him away and then go away from here. So after the morning walk, after conversation with his disciples, Prabhupada, when he came to the temple, the disciples were horrified to see the temple door open. And they see that this boy is sitting inside the temple hall. And the moment he sees Prabhupada, again he goes, jumps and tries to hold Prabhupada's lotus feet. And the devotees are like, oh, someone please take him away. Somehow. And Prabhupada says that stop. And he pats on the boy's head and says, it's all right, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He just has 20 seconds of interaction with Prabhupada. And now everyone is like, now this person has gained some favor of Prabhupada, where Prabhupada has told him that let him be here. So they give him that, why don't you join us? And they take him up and make him a devotee by giving him a dhoti, kurta and all that. And the devotee, this devotee is assigned a service of cleaning the temple. And he very sincerely starts doing the cleaning. And this devotee is so introverted. He's like, he's so much, happily affected by Prabhupada's blessings. When someone would ask him, how are you feeling by doing devotional service? This devotee would reply, Prabhupada saved me. These are the only 3 words which the other devotees have heard from this devotee's mouth. Prabhupada saved me. And then after a week or so, it's a tradition that in most of the temples that they go out for Sankirtan. So Sankirtan in the Western world is especially book distribution. So they all packed the books and got into the van and they're all going. They get the shock of their life when they see that this particular devotee is sitting in the front seat with some book bag. So they say that, see, you are doing nice service being in the temple, but cleaning the temple, why don't you be here? Then he replied, no, Prabhupada saved me. So they say that, okay, fine, let us take him also. Maybe when he sees the crowd, he'll get afraid and next day he will only come and say that, I would prefer to do service of cleaning the temple rather than coming out for Sankirtan. And the devotees, they drive the van to a specific location. And the moment the van stops, this devotee just jumps out of the van and he escapes. And then other devotees are like, oh, where this boy has gone with a lot of books, what is he going to do? So they are like, okay, what to do? Let us focus on, he has taken some number of books, so let us not worry about it. So they all are busy in setting up the table, having their prasadam, and then they're almost half an hour, 45 minutes have passed, and they're just getting ready to approach the people. And here they see this devotee has come with an empty bag. And when they see this devotee coming with empty bag, they're like, where did you throw the books? Show us, so that we can go and at least retrieve it. Then the devotee boy says, no, I have distributed them. Then they say that, how? It's not possible. In 30-45 minutes, you have distributed all the books? So no, it is not good. And then he shows some donations what he has received. And some other devotees also confirm. I have seen that this devotee was speaking to some people and he has distributed the book. So then everyone is curious. 30-45 minutes is a new record in the Sankirtan for this temple. So what did you speak to the people when you approached them? So the devotee said, I just took the book and showed the photo of Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada saved me. And he told this with lot of spiritual conviction that the other person who heard this, he understood, if Prabhupada has saved him, the Prabhupada will save me also. And with that conviction, he was able to distribute all the books at once. And later part of his life, he became one of the big book distributors in the, ISKCON world. And then somewhere in 2014, when I happened to visit Vrindavan for the first time, I saw in ISKCON Vrindavan, they had a notice board where they had mentioned about this devotee, and it mentioned that this devotee is afflicted with some terminal disease. And we request all the devotees, if they have some free time, to go and do some kirtan so that he can remember Krishna. And exactly after 6 months, there was another notice on a notice board saying that this devotee with Prabhupada's picture next to his face, with Narsimha's picture next to his face, when devotees were chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when Prabhupada's japa was going on, this devotee left his body in the presence of all these auspicious things in the holy land of Vrindavan. So that is the power of 20 seconds association with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is saying that I am ready to give you 60-minute association every day. In what form? What Prabhupada has recommended us? Every day we must read 1 hour of Prabhupada books. If 20 seconds can make such a transformation, well, the person who doesn't have any home, nothing is there, no goal of life, no purpose of life, he got to the position of leaving his body in the holy land of Vrindavan, hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. What can happen to all of us if we start reading Prabhupada's book regularly and start following Prabhupada's instructions as it is? So that is a power. That's why it is said, Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. In another instance, there is a devotee who after doing nice service for many years, he becomes, after Prabhupada's disappearance, he becomes disconnected from ISKCON and is in all kind of wrong things. And when, he is also afflicted with some terminal disease, but because he is disconnected from ISKCON, no one is there to help him. And he is almost gone into coma. And the hospital authorities, they are all sitting and thinking that what to do with this person. He is in coma. From so many months he has not come out of coma. So what to do? While they are discussing so, suddenly this devotee gets up from his bed and sits straight, looks at the door and exclaims, Prabhupada, you came. Just utters these 3 words. Prabhupada, you came, and falls back and passes away. So when the doctors hear that so many months he's in coma and suddenly he's getting up and he's looking at the door and he's saying that Prabhupada, you came. Then they do some research. They get to know that he was connected to ISKCON and he was a disciple of Prabhupada. So this is the beauty of being in touch with a Bhagavata Pradhana like Srila Prabhupada, who is 100% sure that it's easy for him to go back to Godhead. But he has taken that extra service of ensuring that all of us also go back to whom? Back to Godhead. And he has made this promise that until that happens, I am not going back to Godhead. I am continuing to remain in this world. So we should be very, very serious in our practice of Krishna consciousness to ensure that this beautiful gift of Krishna consciousness, which Prabhupada so mercifully has extended to all of us, that we practice it very firmly with lot of conviction and with lot of determination, so that at the end of our life, with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, we enter into the spiritual planet and become a pure devotee of Krishna and associate with Krishna in the spiritual world. So with this, I would close this class. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.